Okay. Right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here with you. I'm Hani Haida, the program manager of iPark, and we're going to have a workshop. It's a workshop, meaning you have to do some work and then you present what you've created. Well, I'll show you what I'm talking about in a bit. I'm going to call on you to actually take part. So if you think you're just going to be sitting and doing nothing and just listening, then you're wrong. It's a workshop. It's a business model canvas workshop, interactive workshop, and I stress workshop. I really don't think a business model canvas is just something that you're gonna talk about loosely, and then you don't know how to apply it. So this is an applied session where you will be asked to present. So before we start, we have to make some introductions. I'm timing everything. Every slide has a duration, and I'm timing it on my phone. So I'm going to start with me. I'm Hani Haida. No, go back. I'm Hani Haida, the program manager of iPark. I've been with iPark for 2 years now, and I've worked with a ton of startups and different industries. It's been very interesting, and I'm really excited to be able to guide you through learning about the business model canvas. I just want to go around the virtual room, talk about a bit, let's take 3 or 4 people in the room. Let's start with okay, first حيدر سليمان لأنه فاتح الكاميرا. Tell us a bit about your motivations, your passions, and what's your why? Why are you taking part of the hackathon?
Hello, my name is Haider Sleiman, agriculture engineer. I work with ESDU, Environment Sustainable Development Unit at FAFS AUB as a research assistant. And my motivation for this level is my baby startup. I live in a village. We have a lot of tree of cherry and grape. And 20% of our production or our crops are damaged by bird. So I create a solution to defend my farm and my neighbor farm from bird without using chemical, and all of the solution exists now. Why it's your why I love agriculture, and I live in the plan of the Bekaa, and it's so emotional for me to create this solution for farmer and my family.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's go with the Lean Abdo. Oh, who's raising the hand? Who's raising hands with this? Whoever is raising your hand, you can go. Heidi clapping. Type. Okay, let's go with Lean Abdo. Lean Abdo up next. Lean Abdo. لين عبده. طيب ما في لين عبده. محمد عباس. اوكي لين عبده صارت معنا. Yes, Lean, go ahead. شو عم بصير؟ طيب لين ما فيها. Let's go with محمد عباس برو. محمد.
Yes, hello. Now I joined, so I don't know what's the topic.
Yeah, please just tell us a bit about your motivations. Why are you part of this program? What you're trying to do? Just introduce yourself a bit.
Okay, I'm here in this program because I want to get more experience in AI field. So usually in hackathon, most of the projects use AIs, machine learning, deep learnings, and so on. So yes, I would like to get more experience in that field and to learn more about it,
Mhm.
And yes, that's it. I have 5 years of experience in full stack engineer, but in AI field I don't have. So that's why I'm here. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, let's
Thank you.
go with the Lean El Zur. Lean, are you with us? Lean El Zur. شو خيي حدا بده يحكي طب
كله مستحي.
بس هيك ما حيمشي الحال. It's a workshop, so انه we have to interact. And Fakhri, can you go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. I'm Matt. So introduce myself. I'm a designer. I'm a product designer. I studied industrial design, but then I moved into the digital sphere. Um, and I currently work at a startup that's in tech. And what I guess I'm here because one of the things I'm missing in my education or my knowledge is the business side of startups. And I've done some pitching, but like design project pitching, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
My passion, I guess, research, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
It's a very broad question. So, but in terms of design, I do enjoy research, the UX process, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what's my why? Right now, my why, I think my why, right now, my why is finding a job. Is
Okay.
fair
Okay.
answer,
Okay. Okay.
realistic.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so I think you get a bit about, you can this could be like a Kickstarter for you on your journey to get more involved into business thinking, because that's basically what the canvas is about.
Yeah.
I hope by the end of it, you'd have taken some nuggets about how you can start thinking business wise for everything else you're trying to do, because it's very integrated. When you have the tech, you want to create a tech that actually creates money, not just a tech, an abstract as a project. So connecting these two is definitely very interesting. So now I'm just going to do a quick overview of the business model canvas before we go into the workshop part of things, to go into each part. So first of all, you have something called the value proposition. Now, the question you could ask is, what is value, right? It's a very abstract question, but in business terms, value would mean, the way I explain it, the way I understand it, it's a combination of emotional value and monetary value. So there's those two sides of the story. You have on one end, let's say you're totally humanitarian and you have zero interest in making any profits. And on the other end, you have totally profit oriented and greed oriented way of doing business. So on one hand, you have something like the NGOs and volunteering for humanitarian work. On the other hand, you have something like an investment bank in Wall Street, New York, financial services hubs. The bottom line is what talks: profits, growth, money. You want to get more money to buy more things, and you want to buy a fancy yacht and a fancy plane, and you want to buy 5 houses. So value is really the connection of those two things. I don't think anybody, I mean, even on Wall Street, they think not just in terms of, when you think about Wall Street, you think they're going to be focused more on money than on the emotional side. But a lot of these banks also talk about, customer satisfaction, right? But why do you want the customer to be satisfied to get more money in the future from them, right? So it's difficult to dissociate emotions from actual money and monetary value, because the two really go hand in hand whenever you're trying to start a business. So that's the main thing in the business model canvas. It's the value proposition. You want to take what value you can offer and through that, you want to create a short phrase that describes the kind of value that you're delivering. Okay, so Uber's value proposition would be something like the fastest way to move around in any city in the world. So what value does the consumer get from what you're trying to solve for them? That's the value proposition. It's in the center of it. Then you have cost structure. How much time and money will be required to do this? So you need to think monetary terms. What do I want to accomplish? And do I have the money for it? If I don't have the money for it, do I need to raise money? If I want to raise money, who am I raising from? Or do I have savings? If I don't have savings, do I have a wealthy family member or a family member would like to help? You have to break down how much it's going to cost. You have to do forecast of the cost, how it's going to grow, and you have to raise money accordingly. So then they call it the burn rate. The burn rate is how much money you're burning with the money that you're raising. And ideally, you want to have revenue streams, right? But the issue with revenue streams is you might go a while before you have a consistent revenue model. This is the startup. This is the startup way, right? When you're creating a new company, you are targeting to start to generate revenue. But it's not enough to generate revenue 1 month or 2 months, because maybe you have a good month and then it goes down and then it goes back up. And that's not interesting for an investor. Investor wants to see growth. And that's a whole different topic. But the idea is you want to figure out how much it's going to cost, and you want to also estimate potentially how much revenue you're going to get out of what you're trying to create. So if you want to go more technical, this is something you can research outside of this session. I would recommend you research the topic of the income statement, okay? The income statement is one of the 3 key financial statements. And without getting too much into that, that's more like an accounting course. But the income statement, the top line is your revenue, what you earn on revenue, what sales, and then there's all the costs that goes underneath the revenue, and at the bottom you find the profit. So it's the income statement, and you should research that and look at the different types of costs, because there's a bunch of them. And the way to think about each type of cost is a bit different. Marketing, cost of goods sold, etc. There's like a bunch of them. Well, moving on with the canvas. On the left side, you have key partners, which could be things that give you an advantage. Maybe you already know, so maybe your dad has a company that's in a relevant field, and you can get in touch with the suppliers. Maybe you have a good network of lawyers, distributors, mentors, anybody that you can partner up with to give you an advantage in whatever you're trying to create. And we're gonna dive deep more into this when we get to the workshop side. Again, on the left side, key activities. What are you doing right now? What are you trying to do? How do you prioritize? How do you prioritize what you're trying to do? Typically, with a startup company, you will have a ton of tasks, and some things would require longer time spans than others to accomplish. And if you're really proactive, you're going to be doing a lot of different things as a founder, because you're the person who's running the show, right? You're in the top spot, and maybe you have a co-founder who can distribute the load with you. Finding a co-founder that you can distribute the key activities with is one of the crucial parts of developing a startup company. And you might have a bad experience with the first founder, and maybe you have to fire a founder if you're the main decision maker. Maybe you can't fire the founder and you're stuck with somebody you thought would be a good match to work with. But if key partners is outside, who's going to help, key activities is on the inside, who's going to work with you and who's going to prioritize, who's going to set the tasks, who's going to distribute, whether it's on sales, marketing, whether it's on the legal side, whether it's understanding what permits you need, what are the regulations, who is developing the product, how are you distributing all of this load across the team, across the small team, or just initially between the first 2 or 3 co-founders. Okay. Then we have key resources. So if activities, again, you need to think about these things in tandem, because if you think about the business model canvas as a set of separate parts, you really miss the whole picture, because there's a cost structure to all of this. Like, you're paying the lawyers, you're paying distributors, paying suppliers. Mentors typically would mentor for free. But if you're thinking revenue also, you say, I'm going to get a distributor, I'm going to pay the distributor, but the distributor is going to connect me to a retail store with a good deal that's going to give me the revenue. That's going to be more than the cost. So typically you'd have an Excel file with you, and the Excel file you have will create all of your revenues, costs, and you'll be able to track your projections over a time frame, or let's say over a year. It's really an integrated part, and the key activities cannot happen without the resources, right? Human resources. So I hope you can see that it's an integrated framework, because if you don't have the human resources, you cannot do product development, you cannot do sales. You have to break down the activities, and you have to put the resources accordingly. So if you have to manufacture, is the tech product, is your manufacturing cost? Or are you creating a new type of shoe? Are you creating a brace for the back, something medical? What's the IP risk? Is there a big chance somebody might rip you off? Is there somebody already doing it that's patented? Do you have to pay a license because it's already protected by intellectual property rights protection? So the resources are really what get the activities to actually get along and go along across a time frame. So that's what resources are. We move on to the next slide. Let me just move this. We have customer segments. Again, why are we doing all of this? We are doing all of this to get people to pay you money for what you're trying to create. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you want people, but ideally, again, I repeat, with the value proposition, you want to make them feel good. At the same time, you want them to come back and pay you. If you want to do more research outside of this session, you can research something called the LTV, lifetime value. Okay. But if you want to even go more technical outside of the session, you can talk about CAC, CAC, customer acquisition cost. And there's a very famous ratio, the ratio of business sales, I guess. You can call it the LTV to CAC ratio. And this would track how much money you're making from a customer versus how much it's costing you to get the customer. And obviously you want over the lifetime of the customer being your customer for them to pay you more money than it's costing you to get them through marketing. So this is a whole topic, and it's called a funnel, right? Outside of the scope. This is why the thing is, business model canvas is very complicated. It looks like simple, any 10-year-old could figure it out, but when you really break it down, it goes really deep into many different technical fields in business. So designing a value proposition by itself is a whole field. You find different frameworks to do that. Then on the bottom, you have the income statement, revenue to cost, key partners, very, very complicated. Intellectual property rights, very complicated, very nuanced. Different technologies have different pathways. Activities, product development is a completely different mindset than sales. So all of these this is just a Kickstarter event for you. No, this is not the event where you become business expert. This is the event right now where you start to understand how to think in business terms. So in the future, you can kickstart your own company and understand the basics. Now, so you know who your customers are. Let's say you're creating shoes for athletes. That's a simple product. Or is it simple? I mean, it's very complicated. You have different competitors. Different competitors have different ways of creating the soles, different designs. Different customers like different types of designs, etc. So you figure out, I have a very specific kind of customer that I am addressing. I'm addressing the problem of basketball players who play outdoors in very high temperatures that would need better, like what you call it, not ventilation, but the air needs to move better into the shoes because you're playing in very high temperatures outdoors. Let's say there are no indoor basketball courts. That's a customer segment. You need to figure out who is my customer segment. Not like, okay, generally the customer looks like X or Y or Z. That's a whole thing called customer discovery, right? Long process, long process. Start out with a vague idea of what the customer looks like, and then you develop a prototype, and you go to the prototype, and you show the prototype to potential customers, have them try it, give them feedback, then you iterate on the product based on customer feedback. Ideally, you want to find a customer pool that's going to give you big enough lifetime value for you to be a profitable company with high growth. Now, channels is how do you get to the customers, right? You know what the customer is. Let's say they're playing basketball and outdoor. Your hypothesis is the shoes that people are using when they play basketball outdoors is not does not have enough air coming into it, so the feet are getting really sweaty, and then they're going to get injured because the shoes are not designed to be played on hard court. That's going more technical. So the channel is maybe you don't know that this is your target customer yet. Your initial hypothesis is you want to create a better shoe. How do you do that? First, you could do a social media ad. You could create a video of shoe design, and you could promote the shoe as a better air quality to go in and out of the shoe, right? So you put that in the video, then you ask for an email. You get the email. So now you move into email. That's your second sub channel. So the channel is really how you get to the customer and how you can get to the customer feedback. Now, if you know that your customer is the person who's playing outdoor, high temperature, you just go to outdoor basketball courts in person and you talk to them. Maybe maybe you're in a huge country and there's hundreds of courses distributed all over. Do you want to go to every single one by yourself? Maybe you need to hire somebody to help you with that. Develop that channel. Maybe you figure out a big portion of the people who play outdoors, they go to basketball games in the country. So you go to those games to try to find, and you stand at the door of the stadium, and at the stadium door, you have a pamphlet. Can I take a moment of your time, please? And maybe here you're kind of just shooting darts at a board, because you have a ton of people coming in, and not all of them are going to be your target customer. And even the ones who might be your target customer, you need to be able to have a sales script to be able to convince them that you're offering value, and for them to become either paying customers or test users. So that's a channel, how you get to your customer segment. Then you have customer relationships. So you know who your customer is, you know how to get to them, but again, it's not a separated process, right? Because when you're doing the channels, you figure out how you want to get to them or how to get to them, but then what does that interaction look like? If it's social media ads, you're asking for an email, you send them a stock email through your CRM, and you might give them if they reply to the email, you get on a sales call with them. So the relationship, the actual content of how you're going to interact with them, you're going to be iterative. I don't know if you've taken a design thinking course, but design thinking is helpful when you think about these kinds of things, because if you haven't taken a design thinking course, you should look into it. The whole point of design thinking is you have an idea and you want to test it with potential users. And you want to be able to iterate in that direction a lot to get a lot of user feedback to optimize what you're trying to create. On top of this, think about optimizing how you're interacting with the customer. How is the interaction going? Where does it drop off? Why does it drop off? What do I need to change in how I'm interacting with the customer? Do I need to offer a discount to certain customers. Who gets the discount, who doesn't? You know, these customers don't necessarily know each other, and then you get into this whole price discrimination that is not very looked highly upon, but it does happen, you know. One customer relationship could have you charging one price. Amazon used to do this for books. They think you'd pay $12.50 from their algorithm. Somebody else would pay only 11, and they used to show it like this. But then people found out, and then they had to stop doing it. So that's customer relationships. How is the interaction going to go between you and your customer segment? Okay, so now that we've covered this, and we only have another half hour, we're going to get into the workshop part, right? Here we're going to start in the middle. You have the text, okay? I want you to take, I'm going to give you a minute to, like, literally 1 minute and 30 seconds. We're starting with the center value proposition. Please look at it and try to build the value proposition in a minute and 30 seconds. And then I'm going to go around the workshop to try to get some answers out of you so we can have some quick discussions. So please go ahead and start with this. I'm timing. Christelle, هلا I'm timing them to create a value proposition. Do you want to keep recording? Will you pause until we restart?
Yes, it's fine. We can keep it.
Okay. Okay, let's take another 30 seconds to finish this exercise. Okay, so okay, let's start with Haidar. You want to start with your value proposition?
Hello, yes. For our value proposition, it's a machine, an innovative machine and effective solution to prevent bird damage in agriculture field and vineyard. Increase crop with helping farmers to protect their crop, leading to increased yield and higher revenue. Sustainable agriculture supporting environmentally and friendly farming practice by reducing the need for harmful bird repellent chemical, and for the healthy, it's for organic and organic agriculture.
Okay, can you summarize this in one sentence? If you had to try.
Okay, a bird repellent machine, an innovative and effective solution, and healthy and environmentally solution for agriculture field and vineyard.
Okay, healthy agricultural solution. So if you had to think about what is the value you are offering, how would you define that?
The value, it's a environmentally and healthcare solution for the bird damage in the agriculture field.
Okay, interesting. Shall we go with Lin El Zur? Lin? No. طيب. Wissam Mahmoud.
Yes, hello, Hani. I'm sorry, my
Hello.
internet was bad وقت كنت عم تحكي عن التاسك. So I'm doing it right now. So give me a little bit of time, please.
Okay, then we can go with An Fakhri.
Hi. So this value proposition is my group and I's, so it's not just my own. It's for the hackathon.
Okay.
Yes, it's allowing schools to do timely diagnosis of learning and mental health difficulties, as well as referrals to clinicians of young students. Anyway, it's a bit الجملة بدها تثبيت بس that's basically.
So how would you improve the sentence? Because it's important to be able to refine a rough idea. I understand the idea. You said, can you like simplify it, like make it take one streamlined sentence?
Yeah. Okay. Allowing schools to do timely diagnosis of learning and mental difficulties of young students. As بعدين في the referral part also. So no referral to clinicians.
So you're saying is that there's a student with mental health difficulties, the class would be adapted to the student?
Well, actually, it's a tool. Okay, so I didn't do the intro. So it's a tool/service. Okay. That would allow schools to do a timely diagnosis of their young students regarding learning difficulties and mental health difficulties.
Okay, and do you have a specific learning difficulty or mental health difficulty in mind?
No, so for now, no. We're going general for now.
Okay. Why is this important to you?
So it seems based on somebody's research that there is a need, and also feel like the overworking of specialists and underdiagnosis of young children that happens often, based on some research in the area. So we were suggested to tackle this by a member of the team. So we took on the challenge. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks for sharing. Wissam, are you ready to present your value proposition? Well, I need a bit more time.
If we can jump to another participant بيكون أحسن شوي.
هلا ما عاد في لين بس لين مش عم ترد. So
okay, I'm gonna give you an idea about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. Sure.
Is a navigation system for disabled people, any kind of disability. It can visual impairment, it can wheelchair. يعني هذا شيء relating to شو اسمه mobility. والvalue هي إنه there's no other system like this. It offers voice control. It offers navigation. Takes care of stairs, ramps, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Have you been trying to develop this for a while? Well, this is an idea. Okay.
No, we've been trying to develop it for like the past 3 days. Although we have work, we're trying our best. يعني.
Where have you been finding difficulties?
أكتر شيء إذا بدك spot stairs specifically in AUB يعني to map AUB's campus. When we're trying to orient it like AUB and it's a solution for AUB.
Okay. Do you have any data about قد في عالم بالAUB who would need to use this kind of thing?
We're trying to reach out للoffice. في office مختص disabled people. We're having slight difficulty. يعني we're trying our best. Hopefully they're gonna be supportive collaborative معنا.
Okay, good stuff.
Thank you.
So, Good. Great. So we're gonna move on to the next part of the workshop, which is on the left side. As you can see, this is your value creation. So we talk value proposition. Now on the left side is where you create the value. Okay. We're gonna take a minute. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to look at key partners, key activities, key resources. And then we're just going to go around and have a quick discussion of these, mindful of the time. Yeah, we don't have much more time. Mindful of the time, we're going to discuss enough at least to have a clear idea of what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. So please go ahead and start on timing. Okay. Okay, let's start. Haidar, do you want to go first?
The partner, I need some time. I need 1 minute.
Okay, Fakhri and Fakhri.
Yeah. So for key partners, actually, I was a bit stuck because مثلا, our key partners who would be performing activities, who we would be leaning on are مثلا the schools.
Right.
They would also be the customer because they're the ones using the service. So I was wondering, like, if you have that.
Kamen, customer, you can think of the actual student more targeted because Kamen, then you have to think about how you're pricing it. Is it a model where you just the school pays you a flat fee? Well, is it per student? So
all this stuff. But so key partners would be maybe more. I can answer more like theoretically.
Okay.
People who would do the screening. So maybe we hire clinicians or people that specific job, to do screening, to go into schools and do the screening. We would probably reach out to like mental health people or doctors or actually key activities, distribution channels, customer relationships, problem solving. I need some more time to think about that. But key resources, all the stuff on like learning disabilities and I think we have to create the solution, so it doesn't exist yet. But resources, the information that's already out there.
Okay. I saw you struggled mainly on the key activities. That's perfectly normal because I don't think you've been working on this for a long time. So it's not clear what you have to do. But if you think about it, the key activities is really, I don't want to say the most important part, but execution is right there in the key activities, actually doing these things to create customer value themselves. So figuring
Okay.
out steps and then like
Yeah.
on one step and you have to find a solution to that becomes problem solving.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like putting together the information, hiring. Is that where like human resources لا هيدي تحت بس you know like figuring out how we're gonna build the service, if it's gonna be just
Right.
an app or an app plus or a platform or whatever, and then actually building it and then sharing with like potential customers and partners who are
Mhm.
gonna use it, um, like et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, a key activity could also be something as simple as contacting the key partner. I mean, you say who is the partner and then you contact them. Activity is just, don't think of these as separate blocks that are disconnected.
Yeah.
So you figure out who's the key partner and then you're like, okay, we have to do the following to get there. We send an email, we call them, we go meet them. Now, do we need a contract? Are we going to do it like as a test drive before we actually make it formal? Could be بسجل الشركة بسجل الشركة هلا وين بدي اسجل الشركة شو في permits شو how long is the process and what do I need to do now to start the process. So just here it's doing mainly. It's the doing side of things in the key activities, which you will discover these things as you go along. So don't worry about it. You can't figure this out right now.
Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more only. Haidar or Wissam, who would like to go?
يلا أنا ما عندي مشكلة.
Okay, يلا.
Although my idea is like it's more humanitarian than a business, but I'm gonna
Sure.
go with the stuff that I wrote.
Mhm.
Key partners, basically team that is working on this project. Also AUB in general, and it's accessible education office.
Mhm.
Key activities Google Maps API linkage مع الويب building مع UX UI.
Mhm.
I hope I actually understood what key activities mean. الكي ريسورسز هن team of web data engineers و business analysts plus كمان لازم يكون في communication officers to stay connected مع ال beneficiaries
Mhm.
so that they're actually getting value of this website.
Mhm.
Google Maps API quotation, hardware or cloud resources to host the website, and a database.
Okay, interesting. You want to repeat شوية key activities حتى اللي يسمع أنت فاخر؟
Yeah, okay. حطيت جوجل مابس اي بي اي لينكج مع كل شيء خاص بالويب سايت building the website
Mhm.
مع يو اكس يو اي.
Okay, perfect. هذه the nearest need مبدئيا in the
Yeah,
process
yeah.
of creating the product.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good stuff. So now we go to the next part, which is the right-hand side. So we have the value creation on the left, and now you have value delivery. I'll just take a couple of minutes to figure this out. Then we can continue. Yalla, just a couple of minutes. Okay. Anybody like to discuss? Haidar, Wissam?
1 minute.
Okay.
All right. So customer segments, people with disability, any disability, hearing, visual, أو mobility impairment. Channels we actually now يعني معنا غير بس هذا الاوفيس اللي حكينا عنه من شوي. بعد ما بنعرف حدا بعد ما هذا we actually started من شي يومين ثلاثة working on it. بالنسبة للريليشنشيبس وامتى تراي هذا البروتوتايب حنعمله inside AUB's campus through the people who need it. Which can help us increase the inclusivity and enhances our proposed solution. Input will comments on what kind of challenges actually this helped you face, what kind of things we can do to improve it. حتى we were discussing نعمل survey قبل ما نبلش نشتغل عليه بس ما لحقنا. ناخذ منهم actually هلا يعني to assess إذا بدك هلا situation شو بدكم أنتم بالضبط وين عم تعانوا وين أكثر شيء to actually إذا بدك redirect the solution towards their needs.
Okay, sounds good. Haidar, do you want to go ahead? Well, I'll move on to the last part. Haidar? Okay, Haidar بطل مع السماعة. So just the last part, Wissam, is the financial side, right? So ما في value business model canvas بلا the financial side. It'll take a couple of minutes to just figure out the cost and revenue structure of this. وهيك we'll end the session. So just take a minute or two to write this down.
All right. In terms of my project, cost-wise فعنا أكثر شيء الهوستنج تبع الويب سايت مع الاي بي اي هول الاثنين المين كوستس. واكيد الريسورسز يعني العالم اللي حتكون عم تشتغل عليها الانجينيرز والاوفيسرز. revenue صراحة ما فكرنا بها since we are orienting it to help people and not to actually make profit.
Right, but it could be a non-profit, but you still make revenue. You just anything extra you get, you can reinvest it into the project, right?
Yeah, you're right. How can we actually use something humanitarian to make profit? مثل هيدا الكيس.
بدك تشوف أول شيء إنه عادي يعني the way you're thinking about it, I think إنه you're thinking إنه it's humanitarian, therefore it shouldn't be created to make
Making
money.
revenue, yeah.
بس إنه كل ال NGOs they are humanitarian, but they have donor funds. The donor funds they use that to help people. So
okay.
If you let's say you're charging money from the revenue, you're hiring people to go to other universities and be able to implement this. So you're helping people. The money is there as a resource to help you expand your project. You can think of it like that.
All right. So through funders and sponsors.
Or you can charge for what you're doing. You can charge money for it, but you don't redistribute the money to the shareholders of the company. إذا ما في إنه هون فتنا قصة NGO versus social enterprise versus for-profit company.
Yeah.
The NGO model ما في shareholders بالNGO وما في profit. بس مش يعني إنه كل شيء بينصرف و ما بترجع تستفيد in different projects. So you can actually be charging money to who you're providing the service to, but whatever money you're making بعد ما تغطي معاشات you can
invest in other yeah.
You can invest in other projects basically.
Gotcha.
يعني.
That's actually what the company I work at does.
Right. Where do you work?
Yeah. Siren Analytics.
Siren?
Yes, analytics. It's the company which did the اسمه نافع project, impact project in Lebanon.
100%. It's great to be a humanitarian, but money can be used for humanitarian purposes. Like the Gates Foundation,
Exactly.
hundreds of millions of dollars, all for humanitarian work. حتى Bill Gates بيقول لك انه he wants to be off the list of the richest people by the next decade. He turned completely humanitarian يعني الزلمه. وبعرف اكيد بعده بيعمل بلاوي من مايكروسوفت ستوك. بس انه money for a good cause يعني ما انه greed مش greed على السبيكتروم اللي حكيته بالاساس ولا انه volunteer. انه في عندك a combination of humanitarian and profit thinking. يعني مش غلط واحد يكون بده يعمل مصاري ليساعد العالم. I just phrase it like that من الآخر يعني.
بالعكس yeah, you're right.
Yeah. طيب هلا هون هذا كنت بدي احكي فيه يعني unfortunately كثير عالم they thought it was just gonna be like حدا عم بينظر theoretically and everybody dropped off by the end of it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I guess people just want to hear stuff and they don't want to actually do anything. But anyway, I enjoyed the session.
As well.
I felt that you gave good input. I hope it was useful to kickstart the next steps of the process.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you.
That's my email. إذا بدك شيء حيدر أو وسام, you can just email me with questions. I'll be happy to respond.
Of course. Thank you so much, Hani.
Okay. طيب.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. يلا. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Crystal. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.